Hello, and welcome to Drew and Dragons. I'm your host, Drew, and this channel is dedicated to share useful tips and tricks to fellow virtual tabletop dungeon masters, and to capture the unforgettable stories and adventures me and my players make in my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. This video is the first of two I am making to do a world overview and prologue for my first campaign set in Theros, a magic-filled world reminiscent to ancient Greece, with gods like Zeus and Hera, heroes like Hercules and Theseus, and epic monsters like hydras, krakens, giants, and gorgons. I wanted to create some condensed, cohesive, and easily consumed videos to be an entry point for anyone interested in following my campaign, or wanting to become one of my patrons and participate in a campaign set in the world I've created. This video will introduce you to the world of Theros and its inhabitants, and the next one will show you the events that caused the forming of the party and the threats they find themselves facing. I hope you enjoy catching up with the story, and join us Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as like and subscribe to the channel. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the world of Theros. Theros is divided into three realms: the Underworld, Nyx, and the Mortal Realm. We are going to break down the list in that order, as the Mortal Realm has the most content to discuss. The Underworld. The Underworld is the place of final rewards and endless suffering. Although many believe the Underworld is literally beneath the ground, in truth, the plane is distinct from the Mortal Realm, reachable only via magical means, hidden pathways, or by death. The souls of all dead sapient creatures awake on the banks of the Tartarix River, where they meet Theros, the river guide and god of passage. From there, those capable of paying for his service, which is one coin of any mint, are ferried to their new home in the Underworld. Determined strictly by their deeds and actions in their mortal life, Theros reads the truth of each soul, and delivers it unfailingly to its proper place in the Underworld. Erebos, god of the dead, claims domain over this realm, which is divided into 5 wards. Agonis. Agonis is the last home to warriors and soldiers who battled in life without honor, as well as the souls of cowards, mercenaries, and others who live by the sword. Upon arriving, dishonorable souls relegated to Agonis are met by Oreads, the souls of other dead champions, and Cyclops, who guide them to the Stadium of Dishonor, where they are doomed to fight in an endless battle for eternity. Phyleus. The souls ferried here were uninspired and didn't strive for greatness in life. They plodded through existence and left no mark upon the world through their deeds or their deaths. Those who arrive in Phyleus are met by no one. They are simply left to wander away and slip into a place among the shuffling masses, doomed to perform repetitive tasks in close quarters with others just like themselves. Elysia. In Elysia, the souls of historic mortals and of those who died unjustly find eternal rest and comfort. When the worthy dead arrive in Elysia, they are welcomed by dryads, majestic chimeras, or the souls of legendary heroes. It is the only ward that Erebos, god of the dead, is not able to exert his grim influence. Nerono. The final home of souls haunted by their memories and of mariners who are lost at sea. Vast oceans fill Nerono, a realm dotted by lonely islands and crisscrossed by aimless ships. When a soul reaches Nerono, sirens, naiads, or sphinxes might guide them into the ward. And the 5th ward, Tizeris, the deepest ward of the Underworld. Tizeris is the final punishment of murderers and those who commit unforgivable offenses against the gods themselves. At its center looms Erebos' palace, an ominous structure of polished darkness, embellished with gold ornaments and streamers of crimson silk. The god of the Underworld broods in these halls, occasionally striking out with his lash to drag wayward souls into his realm. When souls damned to Tizeris arrive, they quickly find themselves dragged away in a whirlwind of pain and terror. Demons and underworld harpies, lamias, and nightmares compete for the chance to haul the doomed away to their own personal punishments. The 2nd realm of Theros is Nyx. Nyx is an endless plane of existence where the powers of potentiality and belief hold sway. It is the realm of the gods, of belief given form, of dreams, and of rising and fading philosophies. From here, the pantheon of Theros watches the mortal realm and guides the living. Though the gods live in a veritable paradise, they cannot sever themselves from the mortal world. To do so would lose the faith and devotion of their followers, the source of their magic, and a power they will not relinquish. The night sky is a window into Nyx, and mortals of Theros behold the gods and their creations on a nightly basis. This is the map of Theros. We're going to start discussing the wilds. The known world consists of a landmass mostly bisected northwest by southeast by what is called the Catoctin mountain range. It is one of two of the large mountain ranges known to the world's inhabitants. The other is the Iranian Mountains, said to be deadlier. Its ridge makes up the northeastern or the eastern wall, edge of the map, edge of the known world. On the northeastern side of the Catoctin Mountains, in an area that falls between these two mountain ranges, lies the savannas of Oreskos, home to a menagerie of exotic wildlife and the Leonin of Theros. This predominantly nomadic and atheistic people circle the sun's mirror, its lone and massive body of water, hunting and gathering as a means of survival. Once a year, their 7 prides congregate at Tethmos, their seat of power, to elect the following year's leader. Tethmos is right there. At the northwestern end of the Catoctin Mountains lies 2 volcanoes, Mount Veles and Mount Vesuvius. Mount Veles is the mortal realm's home to Pharos, god of the forge. The smith god's hammer can be heard, and his metal anvil wrought creations can be found all over this region. North of these volcanoes lies a lowland desert called the Ashlands, a forsaken place, its sand dunes filled with half as much lost history and treasure as abominations and godless magic. To its west lies the highland deserts of Scophos. In the middle of the area lies a massive rock formation. This red stone labyrinth, with roots cut deep into the ground, is home to the more learned, pious, and civil breeds of minotaurs on Theros. Their primary deity is Mogus, the god of slaughter, and they worship him through bloodshed and sacrifice. South of this region lies Pharos, a region of arid caverns and canyons, home to fierce bands of bloodthirsty minotaurs and other ravenous monsters. To its west lies Odunos, the first of 2 regions claimed by what are called the Returned. The Returned are those that escape the Underworld by means of something called the Path of Phalanx. Its namesake became the first Returned and gained such reverence, fame, and devotion that he was elevated to godhood and became the god of deception. They are soulless creatures that don golden masks as part of the ritual, their slack and lifeless faces hidden behind them. They are shadows of their former selves, prone to violence and with no memory of their former life. Odunos is home to the Crypts of the Lost, where a known portal to the underworld exists and is said to be where Phalanx himself originally escaped. It is also home to the Bothros, a yawning chasm at the edge of the sea and at the bottom of a cliff. Waves crash into this trench with no bottom, and nothing that has fallen into its depths has been recovered. After raids, the Returned of Odunos silently dispose of their spoils into the pit, having no use for mortal goods. The rest of Theros is where the bulk of its population lives. East of Pharos, in a highland region dissected by canyon rivers, lies the first of 3 human polis or city-states, Akros. Akros is the Thracian equivalent to Sparta. Their culture values honor, athletics, bravery, and innovation, and they primarily worship Iroas, the god of victory, Pharos, god of the forge, and Keranos, god of storm and inspiration. This monarchy is ruled by a warrior elite class referred to as the Lectoi. Its soldiers are known as Stracians, and below them are the many serfs and servants that ensure the prosper of the region under the protection of this militaristic society. Its center is the Colophon, a mighty fortress and the seat of Acroan power. This many-tiered structure perches upon a vast cliff, which drops into a deep canyon carved by the Data River. Nature and Acroan ingenuity conspire to make the Colophon one of the most intimidating fortresses in Theros. From Akros and the Colophon, one can travel south and then west to pass over the Data River by crossing the massive and well-guarded Faragax Bridge. From there, they follow the Great River Road 2 days to the Data Harbor, a port city sitting between Akros and the Poli of Miletus. From its docks is a half-day's boat ride to the harbor of Miletus. Miletus is the Athens of Miletus is to Athens as Akros is to Sparta, a learned and philosophical society. Its primary deities are Aphara, god of the Poli, Heliod, god of the sun, and Thassa, god of the sea. It is a society that is devoted to learning, magic, and progress. It is the most populous city-state and home to progressive thinkers, pious thaumaturges or wizards, and wise oracles. Born from the defeat of tyranny, to this day it pursues the ideals of free thought, societal betterment, and reinvention over stagnation and totalitarianism. A council of philosophers called the 12 serves as the ruling body of Miletus. They are elected by popular vote among the citizens of Miletus and serve for terms of 4 years at a time. The Poli is home to the Decadia, a preeminent academy for philosophers and mages. Those who manage to complete this decade training are renowned as the wisest of the wise and the bravest of the brave, combining all the essential learning of the Poli into one heroic package. The rest of the Poli, or the state of the city, is made up of small villages that dot a large peninsula south of the Poli proper. Boat usage is the most common form of travel for these fishermen, craftsmen, merchants, and sailors. As such, many are devotees to Thassa and Keranos to protect them from the wild and weather of the waters. Known as the Siren Sea, and home to the Dakra Isles as well as the Tritons, an amphibious species that are a favored people of Thassa. They are known to intermingle with humans or dry folk from time to time, but most live their entire lives beneath the waves. From the main gates of Miletus proper, up the slopes, the steep stone ramp to the Four Winds Plateau. This place is home to countless historic battles, including the defeat of the tyrannical Archons, and more recently the slaying of the Hydra Polukranos. Across this barren, bone-white, and hollowed ground, the descent on the other side takes you to the breadbasket of the region. Countless fields of wheat and barley stretch between the Centaur Plains and the Nessian Woods, and the northern border of that forest lies the Poli of Setessa. Setessa is the favored Poli of Kerametra, god of the harvests, and its buildings blend so perfectly into the forest that it's difficult to tell the difference between inside and outside. The populace lives in harmony with the thick forest, terraced farms, and trained animals of Setessa, and they celebrate the cycle of seasons with grand holidays. Setessa is also unique among the Poli of Theros in that few of its adult residents are men. Women comprise the bulk of the population, holding almost all of the leadership roles and carrying out most work. Men are few and far between, mostly performing roles at the Poli's edge. Children run freely around the Poli. They're so important, in fact, that Setessa's people take in abandoned children from all over Theros, and they are commonly referred as Orkuli, or Little Bears. Setessa is home to the nexuses of the seasons, 4 holy sites corresponding to the 4 seasons. These towers stand in or near the Poli and serve as temples, primarily for the rites of Kerametra and Nylea, god of the hunt, but also to the other gods to an extent. These nexuses, or nexus points between the mortal world and Nyx, a phenomenon called the Kalema Veil, are where omens manifest amid star fields that glitter in the shadows and where oracles seek messages from the divine. The Centaur Plains. Sitting in the center of this triangle, the 3 Polis, is the Centaur Plains. Its people divided into 2 bands, the Lagona merchant families and the Pharos raiders. The former live their lives trading their wares between the Polis and traveling in small family units called Guri. The Pharos, on the other hand, roam the lands between Setessa and Akros in small raiding herds. Valuing physical strength, speed, and prowess in both hunting and combat, they are often led by the most dominant warrior called the Charger. The Skull of Vale. Setessa and the Nessian Woods' eastern edge is pressed against the most southern parts of the Catoctin Mountains. I'm talking right here is where we're talking. And between 2 of these mountains is the Cypress Gates. These are the Cypress Gates. Right there. You can see the dotted line. That's the Cypress Gates. An impenetrable fortress carved into the mountains on the western banks of the Spurce River. Through those gates, and following the river south for half a day, one can cross into the Skull of Vale. Nestled in the highlands of the Uraniad Mountains, the Skola Vale is blessed by Nylea, covered in lush grass and dotted with copses of trees. Satyrs roam the comfortable valley with no need for permanent settlements, and all their needs provided for by the valley's magic. According to legend, Nylea was so taken with the valley's beauty that she poured the contents of her wineskin onto the vale to make it flourish forever. When wild goats drank of this wine, they became the first satyrs who made the magical land their home. The Spurche River flows through a tight canyon south and dumps into the Siren Sea, in some place called the Siren's Shipyard. Shipwrecks in Carrion are found here, as many sailors have been lured to their deaths by the area's namesake creatures. Directly west of the Siren's Shipyard, on the southern end of the Nessian Woods, lies the Despair Lands, a bleak region leached of life and color by the influence of the Underworld. And on this peninsula lies the second necropolis of the Returned, known as Asphodel. This is Theros, and I hope you have a better picture now of what awaits players in my campaigns. Please consider liking, subscribing, and watching my ongoing campaign Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can also take a look at my Patreon and join in all the fun. I really hope you enjoyed this. This was in one take. So I'm trying to bring more content like this. The next video I'm going to make is going to be the introduction or to the story, to the narrative that they are facing in the campaign that I'm calling the Mythmen of Mount Kure. So I hope that you join us 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I made this map. And I hope that you see this is just a taste of what we can do with VTT for kind of the cinematic stuff that I'm hoping to bring. Hoping to bring you more next week. And until then, I hope that the dice are coming up all nat 20s for you. Have a great day.